Oxidizers. This has to be the most convoluted and complex skill in the game, and I see so many people, streamers, YouTubers, just get it wrong. Along with, there are so many weird tips and tricks and nuances that you can add to Oxidiser that just completely and utterly bolsters its performance. This right here is me firing my Oxys as fast as possible. Now, I've alluded to this in several other videos and other things that I've said and done as to things that you can just do to increase the output, fire rate, capability of Oxidiser. One of which is measured. I can't even say it. The most useful thing measured is actually capable of. So just going to play the firing rate part at base again. So this is just the base fire rate of the chem. Okay, it's about 1 round every 1.2 seconds. Now, if we just put a weapon with measured on, now I'm going to use the apartment because I'm not going to tarnish one of my weapons with that bloody talent. So I'm just going to equip the apartment for perfect measured. Fire a few rounds just to make sure the talent activates. Sometimes it doesn't. And we can see here that I'm firing just ever so slightly quicker. And the moment I fire 4, it now will really slow down. I'm pressing as fast as I can and it's forcing that pause. So measured does directly increase and then decrease the fire rate of the chem launcher. Now for our next trick, this one's not really that useful unless you're planning on doing some speed running, but you never know. Glory Days has the 100% increase in stability. Now it's kind of hard to see, trying to find a point of reference really of where I can aim, but if I aim at this barrel, hopefully you'll see that the reticule or the area of effect doesn't actually move. If I swap to SMG, you should see it bob up and down. The slight sway. Go back to Glory Days. Completely stable, completely static. This isn't really that useful unless, like I said, you're doing speedrunning, of where you will need to, I don't know, shoot an Oxy for a very small gap. Glory Days is quite useful for this. Anyway, next trick. We're just going to get rid of these, just so that we can show the full buff. And I would like to introduce you to Chatterbox Chem Launcher. I don't even reload by the time I fire. It's just the weirdest animation ever. The reload buff that Chatterbox gets completely applies to Chem Launcher. You can do some serious output with this. It is quite fun. This is one of the weird and wacky tricks we used to use to farm floor 10. Yeah. So, yeah. That's basically how we used to farm floor 10. Chatterbox and Oxidiser. Along with Eclipse and like other things. Right. Now for the pièce de résistance. This is one thing that people always seem to get wrong, simply due to the fact that Oxidiser scales with both DTA and DTOC, damage to armor and damage to targets that have cover. The best weapons that get the highest value on this, because your weapons will also be taken into account, depending what weapon you're holding in your hand at the time, are shotguns. So get yourself a shotgun within sync. Doesn't really matter what one, but a shotgun within sync. Now, hopefully, although there's a lot of numbers popping around, I'm doing it in this group area, but hopefully you should see that there is a larger difference between when I have the AR in my hand that just has 10% DTOC to when I swap to the shotgun that will then have DTA and DTOC, and if I proc in sync as well, the overall damage output is just absolutely nuts. Typically, most endgame players that utilize Oxy builds, although they are quite useless in the open world unless you know spawn points. Caveat, unless you know spawn points. Typically, most players will use Chatterbox and then some form of shotgun with in sync on. They'll use the Chatterbox to proc the chattering buff, whatever, for the increase in fire rate, fire off their chems, swap to a shotgun, because that way they've got all their damage out at an instant in one go, and then they're able to swap to a shotgun as enemies spawn, and then they can proc in sync. Hopefully now we can show you that damage just on one name delete single target. So we're just gonna pop our shotgun out, fire an Oxy into him, put our shotgun on, so, and then swap to our AR, and you should notice the damage just drops down. Do it the other way around, just so you're seeing the damage to armor as well. Yes. So, DTA and DTOC on your weapons do have an effect. Shotguns are best for this because they get both DTA and DTOC, as well as in very high values. Now, next point to this, you might notice that I have a lot of skill damage everywhere, because one thing that I see on repeat, and something apparently people just don't know or haven't figured out yet, Oxidiser is not a status effect. It does not scale with status effect. I have had to tell so many people this. It's bloody unreal. It's kind of giving me a headache at this point. To show this, I have just swapped the skill damage on my mask to status effect. We were hitting in our previous little bout with the shotgun 432,256. If we now do this with one status roll, swap to our shotgun, we're hitting 410,000. So we're missing 20k. We're missing instantly 20k. Like, we can even proc in sync, and it goes to 470. We can do this on repeat over and over again, and every time I put a status roll on, all that's going to happen is I am going to lose damage. So we're going to put this back to skill damage, just to show that I'm not doing anything weird and wacky. We're not going to do any editing. So exact same build. I'm going to run back, put this back to named so that it lasts long enough for us to actually see what's going on. $432. So 432,000. We were hitting 410 when we put it to one roll to status, put it back to skill damage, and we just jump up 10k. It's not scaling with status. It's not a status effect. So I'm hoping we can move past this. I've seen so many people run like Eclipse builds with Oxy. It's just sort of like, what are you doing? Why? Just to prove the point one more time, gonna put this one to status effect, and then we're gonna put one more roll to status effect. We're gonna go to our chest, change this to status effect. Testing dumb shit like this costs me so much. I should literally get paid in resources. Like, honestly, this is just painful. And then we're going to come back, put this to named, and we're going to shoot it again. And we're going to see how much more damage we have dropped, because we've put two rolls to status effect now, because status effect has no bearing on Oxidiser. So, yeah. Oh, what will be at that? Was that 390? 389? 389. So, yeah. Lost even more damage because we have two status effect rolls. Oxy does not scale with status effect. Can we move past this, please? Please, please. Up next, while I fix my build, oh god, it cost me so much. Best in slot pieces for Oxidiser. Now, there is a lot of arguing about this, and there's a lot of debating about what is actually best in slot. Minus a shotgun with InSync, DTA, DTOC. The two main things you're really going to want is, one, contractors that come with skill damage, so you can roll the core to skill tier. Same again with Foxes. Again, you're going to want these to come with skill damage on, so you can roll the core to skill tier. After that, it is 3-piece Empress, bar none. Although the 10% skill health is giving you nothing, you then get 10% skill damage, and that 10% skill efficiency does so much. That's 10% skill duration. That's 10% more time that your Roxys are out doing damage. 10% skill haste, 10% skill damage. It is going to affect everything on your Oxidiser. I then argue a Costas go bag. I know a lot of people are going to say Wyvern with tech support. Wyvern with tech support, you're going to get more damage long term. However, there are going to be times where you are going to want or need a huge burst of damage on your Oxidiser as well as to have them last longer. There is no better backpack for this than a Costas. They literally vanish the moment they pop up. Like, they're just gone. The overall output that the overcharge from a Costas can give you is going to be huge. Now again, it is going to depend entirely on what you want from your Oxy build. However, my personal take on this is a Costas. 3-piece Empress, set in stone. Unicorn, Foxes and Contractors, rolled yellow, set in stone. The backpack is the only thing up for debate. In the meantime, have fun, good luck, and don't die. It's bad for the health.